now joined by fifth-year head coach Jeff Massenet of the North Park track and field team. North Park coming off a solid 2014-15 campaign, and they just recently completed their first meet of the 2016 season, which was at the UW Parkside Invite this past weekend. So, Coach, now that this is going into your fifth season now as head coach of the track and field team, what are your expectations now for this upcoming season?
Well, they're the same as previous years. Track is kind of a different beast than a lot of other sports. We have regular season meets that we try to do as good as we can at, but we're focused primarily on individual performances as opposed to team performances. There's team scores kept at these meets, but they're pretty irrelevant. No one goes into most regular season meets trying to score points or win meets. It just doesn't matter. But the flip-flop is that when we go to conference, that's our one competition where we're trying to finish as high as we can and score as many points as possible. And we put people in primary events and maybe don't load them up too much at that meet. And bottom line is we just try to score as many as possible. So, but this year, just trying to build upon the last couple. We've been sixth on both sides the last couple of years, whether that be indoors or outdoors, and we've kind of dug ourselves out of being down in the basement like we had for a few years previous. So we're hopeful to keep just moving forward and closing that gap between that fifth and fourth place team in the league on both sides.
Yeah, you got two solid sophomores returning. On the women's side, you got Alina Gunnarsson, who already won the 200 meters with a time of 26:13, which is now ranks number 1 in the conference, as well as number 12 overall in NCAA, as well as she finished second in the long jump. Talk about what she was able to do, and then also sophomore Rasmus Elfgaard, who ended up winning the pole vault and was tied for second in the shot and qualified for the finals in the 55 dash at Parkside.
Yes. So Alina, she was our returning national qualifier from last year's indoor season in the long jump, and did very well at both the indoor and outdoor conference meets. Rose to the occasion, scored a bunch of points for us, and she did nothing but have a good fall of training on her own. And the last 5 weeks over the holiday break, she actually stayed in Chicago and was able to work out most of the time. And she's in good shape. She ran her 200 time out of lane 1, which is tough to do. It's a little tighter turns, and Parkside's track is a nice place, but it's I would call it a little on the soft side, so perhaps it's not going to be as fast of a sprint track. So we're pretty pleased with how she was able to come out of the gate and run well in that, and long jump as well as she did. So she's got very high goals for this year, and we'd like to think that she's got a good chance to go to nationals and either the long or the 200 or maybe even the quarter. We're going to try her out in that in a few weeks. And then Rasmus Elfgaard, who's actually from 10 miles away from her back home. They're both from Sweden, oddly enough, and they know each other before they came over here. He, in a similar boat, he had a good freshman year last year, had a good summer, and a good fall of training. He's stronger, faster, and more fit than he was a year ago. And then again, he had another good holiday break and came back and was ready to rumble. He had a good meet. He vaulted very well, just barely missed going over 440, which would have metrically would have been his best mark ever in the pole vault. And again, first meet out, this is very much of we'll call it a rust buster. No one is all that sharp, and he did really well.
Talk about, too, which these couple sophomores you got, or excuse me, not sophomores, freshmen, as well as it's Alex Escudero, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. He ended up finishing second in the shot put and placed third in the weight throw, as well as Mandy Patke and Hannah Gustafson. Talk about those three freshmen and what kind of impact they're going to make for this year's team.
Yeah, so Alex he's a big guy. He's been he threw at Mundelein. He's been doing summer stuff also all of his high school career. So he was able, in the summertime, you're able to pick up some different events that they don't have at the normal high school level.
Oh, okay.
In high school they had the shot and a disc, but if you do summer track, you can also mess around with the hammer, you can mess around with the javelin, and so these are events that most freshmen aren't prepared for. So the hammer translates right on over to the weight throw, so he was able to pick that thing up and pretty much start off better than I think most freshmen have been able to, because he's just got some background in it. So he had a good meet. We're excited to see his progress. It's like anything else. Freshman year, you just try to have a good, solid experience and build a foundation for the future, and he's started that process. And then the two gals, Hannah and Mandy, we're just real excited about both of them. I think they're outdoors, they're going to be better than they are indoors, and as it should be for everybody. Indoors is meant to be a building block kind of time, and they're in the 400 hurdles is what we're hopeful that they will both be impacts for us. as well as Mandy in the heptathlon. But good pickups for us, and they're good kids, and we're real excited to see what they can do as the year progresses.
Awesome. Okay, and talk a bit about just this conference overall. Where do you see you guys shaking out in the conference at not only the indoor but in the outdoor?
Yeah, it's hard to know at this point because it's still very early in the season. And when you look at like the conference rankings and these kinds of things, well, geez, and half the conference hasn't competed with their full kid team yet. We haven't, and so a couple of weeks, early February, is when you get a better idea of what the other teams have. Again, it's a lot different than other sports where you play defense and you hold teams down and their point. We go to meets and we run as fast as we can, throw as far as we can, and they do the same thing. And if they got more bodies, they got better kids than we had. It's just kind of the way it goes, and we don't know really who's got what yet. So, but that being said, I mean, realistically, we're probably going to be in the hunt for finishing somewhere in that 6th place on both sides, indoors and outdoors. We're a better team outdoors, unquestionably, because we gain several throwers. On the guys' side, we gain Matt McNamara and Nick French.
Right.
And then we gained a couple of events that were decent. And we gained the javelin, and that's a place that with Nick and with Rasmus, we'll probably get two of the better throwers. I mean, it could be a big point event for us.
Okay.
And outdoors, we gained Bree Lippert in the discus and the shot and the hammer from the basketball season. She won't be competing during indoors. And we pick up some of these events like the 400 hurdles that I think we're just better outdoors. So same kind of goals, I guess you could say, though. 6th place, 6th to 5th is probably realistic where we could be fighting for.
Okay. Talk about too, like these non-conference meets that you guys got on your schedule, starting with that UW Parkside. How much do you think that's going to prep the guys and the girls for once you guys hit the conference meets?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all step by step. I think being able to, at the meet we were at this weekend, we don't see anyone from the conference there. We saw obviously Wisconsin Parkside Division II team. We saw some NAIA schools. We saw some other D3 teams. You see a nice mixture, and our schedule is such that we get to see a variety of teams and a variety of non-kind of CCIW squads.
Yeah.
And that's not really a goal per se, but it helps kind of break up the monotony of seeing the same people week in and week out. And in some ways, we'd like to think that maybe we may be a little bit more of a hidden thing, and then when we get to conference, maybe people haven't seen so much of how our kids race or how our kids respond, and maybe that can be a benefit to us too.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much, Jeff, for taking the time today, and we wish you guys the best of luck in the 2016 season.
Thank you very much, Kevin.